This is Tim Bryce with my review of Hillary's America. I recently saw the movie Hillary's America, The Secret History of the Democratic Party by filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza, who is known for his conservative politics in films, such as the 2012 movie. 2016, Obama's America is a 2012 documentary film. He deliberately scheduled the release of his latest film just prior to the start of the Democratic Convention in Philadelphia, where Hillary Clinton was nominated for president. The film is an interesting mixture of documentary, history, conservative politics, and Hillary bashing. I'm confident liberal Democrats will avoid it like the plague, but it is worthwhile for young people to see, if for no other reason, the historical significance of the film. I happened to watch it on a Saturday afternoon, and I estimated the attendance in the theater was approximately 90%. Not bad. The movie begins with Dinesh D'Souza's conviction for making an excessive campaign contribution. He claims such an offense normally results in a person's wrist being slapped, but because of his 2012 movie regarding President Obama, he was prosecuted more zealously than others. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison and 5 years of community service and probation. While in prison, he met many different criminals. More importantly, he learned about gangs and how they operate, which is essentially no different than politicians such as Mrs. Clinton. He claimed their aim is to con people out of their money and deny any wrongdoing. This led to an historical review of the founding of the Democratic Party from Andrew Jackson's time to the present. D'Souza claimed the Democrats were pro-slavery and fought the Republicans at every turn to free them. During the Civil War, for example, the North was led by Republicans and the South led by Democrats. After the war, Democrats fought against Reconstruction and wrote the Jim Crow laws. This led to the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, which was started by Democrats and perseveres to this day. D'Souza contends President Woodrow Wilson was a supporter of the KKK, as was Margaret Sanger, who founded Planned Parenthood in 1916. The movie claimed Planned Parenthood opened birth control clinics in inner cities as a means to control the black populace. For many years, blacks voted Republican. This began to change during the Great Depression, where Democratic President Franklin Roosevelt offered his New Deal program, which blacks gravitated towards. D'Souza spent time discussing the rise of progressive politics. Americans should understand the term progressive goes back to the Progressive Era, which is considered the period between the 1890s to 1920s. This was an important movement aimed at cleaning up political corruption in government and women's suffrage, among other things. A diverse set of noteworthy people belonged to the movement, including Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Charles Evans Hughes, John D. Rockefeller Jr., Booker T. Washington, Upton Sinclair, and Republican presidents William Howard Taft and Theodore Roosevelt, who implemented many such reforms during his presidency. More recently, the Progressive Democrats of America was formed in 2004, primarily by supporters of Dennis Kucinich and Howard Dean. Make no mistake, it is not working in concert with moderate Democrats or Republicans, and it is most definitely not conservative in nature. The term progressive was deliberately selected to conjure up images from a bygone era. One could deduce if you are not in agreement with the progressive point of view, then you would be an obstructionist and therefore an impediment to progress. This is a very clever way of manipulating public perceptions for political gain, something the media seems more than willing to advance. To me, progressive is subliminal brainwashing of the worst kind, as it is misleading the public to believe their policies are not liberal in nature and therefore are more positive and palatable to implement. The reality is that progressive is a misnomer, as it represents the doctrine of the left. One could therefore correctly assume that progressives are nothing more than liberals in sheep's clothing. D'Souza next discussed Saul Alinsky, the noted community organizer who taught Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, who wrote her senior thesis on this radical figure. It is interesting, Alinsky learned his community organizer techniques from Frank Nitti, the number 2 man of the Al Capone gang. He learned quickly the ends justify the means. Cheating and immoral behavior was considered perfectly acceptable if it produced the desired results. This concept was also considered a natural part of the gang philosophy, as D'Souza discovered while in prison. He He also contends when immigrants came to this country over the years, the Democratic Party would befriend them, find them a place to live, usually in squalid conditions, and help them find a low-paying job. In return, they demanded the immigrant vote along party lines. Make no mistake, this is similar to what is intended with illegal immigrants today. The last part of the movie focuses on the Clintons. D'Souza makes a compelling argument that this is a marriage of convenience. She needs Bill due to his charm and political tactics. He needs her to keep him in line. For example, Clinton is portrayed as a sex addict, which requires Hillary to come to his aid when such problems become known to the public. By doing so, she was enabling his sexual desires. More importantly, D'Souza discusses the millions of dollars being obtained for the Clinton Foundation. As Bill accepted handsome donations to the fund, Hillary would help the person or group making the donation using her position as Secretary of State at the time. Following the earthquake in Haiti, the Clintons solicited money from the public to rebuild the country. None of the money was used for relief, but to help build a factory on another part of the island. Although the movie is obviously biased against the Clintons, it is a good history lesson for youth and something everyone should see before voting in November. The one question D'Souza didn't address is why the Main Street media defends the Clintons. Without the media, the Clintons are truly vulnerable. One can only surmise that the press is in it for the money as well. Friends, keep the faith. This is Tim Bryce in Palm Harbor, Florida. Follow me on the internet at timbryce.com.